So I made a Peacekeeper for my Mirage cosplay. Then I thought, how do I make this so much cooler? That's when I thought of Carnage. Carnage is a symbiote from the Marvel series. First thing to do is make a rough sketch of what I would want this to look like. After I had a general idea of what I wanted, I went ahead into my CAD program and modeled this. This is our Peacekeeper that we're going to be printing and putting together. Next, I started printing my parts. These parts are going to be printed in PETG from Ziltech on my Anycubic Cobra Max. I also printed some parts on my Ender 3 with Matter Hackers Build Series PETG. I also printed some of our smaller parts in Soraya Tech resin on my Anycubic Mono X. Now they're printed and we can listen to the satisfying sound of them coming off the build plate. Then we'll go ahead and take the sports off of them. Now we need to pick a controller for our board. So I had to pick between two small controllers. We have the Arduino Nano seen right here, and then the Cduino. It's a bit smaller of a board, but it's easier to use the Arduino Nano, so we're going to go with that. For our lights, we're going to use a 5-volt addressable LED strip. I went ahead and drew our circuit. We'll be using 6 LED strips that are powered by 4 AA batteries ran through the Arduino board. Next thing to do is code the board, so I wrote up this code, and then we're going to skip going over it because it's completely half-assed and not helpful to anyone. This was one of our first tests with the lights. I wasn't really a fan because I wanted it to be red and a little different on the animations, which you'll see later. I'm going to go ahead and use the spray can paint on the lever just so we have an example of what it's like painting these. I'm using metallic dark metal paint. I really burn through this stuff because it's a good base coat for basically everything I make, and it allows light through for LED effects, which you'll see later on with the barrels. Another thing I really like about this paint is how quick it dries. I'm a very impatient person, so it's helpful to be able to work with it within 30 minutes of painting. Now we're done applying the paint. It's a dark gunmetal color, which I really like using on any of my props, and I think it looks pretty good. I'm using a small test board I got just to see what the red looks like inside of the painted barrels. Here we are testing our lighting. You hold the button down for the lights to come on, and let go for them to turn back off. Here's what the base parts look like painted on the front half. Here's the light test with the stock added, and I'm loving it so far. Alright, we got our basic Peacekeeper done. The electronics are now working in it, so when I hit the trigger that's hidden in the stock right here, we get our lighting effect. It's very basic paint job yet. We haven't added the symbiote because I still have to add our front sight. I have new pins that are a lot smoother so they won't look 3D printed like this does. And then I have to do the paracord wrap and leather wrap around the handle. And then after that, we can start adding our symbiote. But this time I managed not to screw up the lever, so it can go forward, back, hands off, it doesn't fall. And shake it around, nothing. It has a little magnet, kind of hard to see right here. And then it's kind of easy to see on this one, but it's going to get covered up by the symbiote right here. So stay down, nothing. The main issue right now is this little bend right here. I have to figure out how to stabilize it. Just want to say real quick, don't listen to that guy. He's a fucking idiot. I figured it out, all right? Just put a bit of double-sided tape right there. It's not completely straight, but it's enough. It'll do. I don't have to worry about it as much because I want to be able to take this pin out, and then be able to access our board right here. and then our connector right here that goes to everything in the back. We can now start gluing on our detail pieces and start making this look like an actual Peacekeeper. Here I'm using a gel super glue. It'll give us a little more tolerance when it comes to the flatness of our parts. This is because our parts aren't completely flat, which is okay for this build. Our parts being non-uniform creates a more animalistic look to the build, which is perfect for Carnage. Let's go ahead and put the rest of these side pieces on. We have our first side put together, and I think this thing looks amazing so far. As you can see, I used a lighter color for our detail pieces because I wanted a little bit of contrast on the front end. Now we can do the fun part and start adding our teeth. I printed these teeth on my resin printer and then painted them with a glossy black Krylon spray paint. I also used my Dremel to add some more detail to the teeth and make them look more realistic. Glossy black paint really brings out these grooves. Gone ahead and added our first tooth to this side, now we can go ahead and add the rest. The teeth came out amazing so far, and I really like the look that we got. Now we can go ahead and reinstall our batteries and see how it looks with the lights on. We can go ahead and hit our activation switch on the stop. Now our lights are on, and I think it looks pretty good so far. I did try to take video of me building the circuit, but the camera I was using decided it didn't want to work anymore. That's all for this video. In the next video, we'll take this average-looking Peacekeeper and see what it looks like with Carnage attached to it. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I hope to see you back next time.